Hello and welcome back to another painting video. So today I'm going to be painting some garlic and some horseradish, both roots, so still vegetables. And this one I started off with the garlic. I have a reference image. I'm going to put it up so you guys can see it as well. I really went from the reference image to the painting, not just using it for inspiration. First I used some watercolor pencils to kind of lay out the sketch, and then used the watercolor to lay out just kind of a base, very light color. I started adding in the shadows. I really want to push that one bulb of garlic in the back further back. When I was in college, when I would paint in a watercolor class, my professor told me that I draw with watercolor more than I paint with watercolor. And so a lot of the semester was teaching me to paint with it rather than draw with it. I never really know what she meant. So with that, it was that instead of laying down blocks of color, real large areas of color, I was sketching it out and like I would with a pencil, which was like adding little lines of color to shade in. And you can kind of see that in the front bulb of the garlic, because with my previous paintings I was trying so hard to just paint, oh, I can't draw with the paint. I had the professor's voice in my head the whole time. I was like, no, I gotta do it the way that it's supposed to be done. With this one I was like, no, I'm gonna go back to what I enjoy and what I liked and how I like to do it. So I kind of draw with it where I take a very fine brush and pick up some pigment and then like kind of just scratch and cross hatch into it. I add some darker values down at the bottom to push that table below it, and to make sure that the bulbs of garlic are sitting on top of it. The two right bulbs of garlic have a lot of purple in them, and that's why I used this reference image, because I thought it was very, very interesting, instead of using a garlic that you would see like at the grocery store, which is just pretty much all white. I wanted that variation because I wanted to challenge myself to try and get that purple in there, while the one on the left was more red and gold. I don't know if it was peeled or what, if it's just a different variation, but I liked the contrast between the two, and I think ultimately I like how this one turned out. I think that I could have pushed the darkest values in that front bulb a little bit more, but I went in with a little bit of white gouache just to highlight some of the areas and get some of that reflected light in the shadows. And then I think with this back one, I wanted to make sure it was further back. It was a little too close in value with that front one. I pushed the background back further, add a little bit more highlights, and then I think we're coming to an end. So with the horseradish, I forgot to start recording, so you didn't see me actually paint the background, but the intention with this painting was to kind of go really, really funky, because horseradish is arguably very, very boring. Very brown, very plain. There's no fun colors like with carrots or with garlic or anything like that. So I thought I'm gonna go completely on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm gonna start by painting this with some really, really bright blues, some really, really bright greens. I still wanted to make it kind of look like horseradish, but I wanted to make sure I had a base layer of some really vibrant colors to kind of keep it in that funky pop art kind of style. Very cartoony, before I started adding any earth tones. I wanted to make sure it had like really hard outlines and some kind of cross hatching, as if I was once again drawing with the paint. I really went kind of fun with this one, because it was a risk, because I was like, this is not going to turn out. This is going to be really gross. But I'm painting horseradish, so maybe it's just one that just doesn't turn out. And actually, this is actually one of the favorite ones that I've done. I really like how eggplant turned out. I really like how the garlic, and I really like how this one turned out. Oddly enough, one of my favorites is horseradish, but I start going and adding in some deeper values into the foliage at the top of the horseradish root, making sure that I keep that texture at the very, very foreground of the very front root, and then keep the ones in the back more vague to kind of push them further back in the scene. I thought that the ones in the back weren't quite dark enough, so I make them darker, add more variation in the leaves and everything like that. So even though I've added a lot of like browns on top, you can still kind of see the edge of that blue, and that bright pink in the background is very fun. So next what I used a Sharpie, and I went and I added some really, really intense cartoony outlines to my roots. I used a paint pen, which dripped all over the place and got really messy, but I really like how it ended up. And then of course I go ahead and I peel off my tape and kind of look at it a little bit, looking at it again and looking at it in real life as well. The garlic painting, that front right bulb of garlic needed a little bit darker values in there. My darkest darks needed to be darker in just a couple areas if I were to go back and do it again, but ultimately I'm okay with it for a very quick, short painting. For the horseradish, I wish that the white hadn't dripped, but ultimately I think it kind of adds some fun texture in the background, and I do like the black outline. It does become more of a drawing than a painting, but who really cares? Because who cares? You know, I'm making it. I like it. And now I have a painting of horseradish that I get to put up on my wall for a little while. So let me know what you think. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more paintings for a while, so sorry. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!